Welcome back to Can Communism Work in Blank? Basically, a series where I try to understand with you all if the communism economic and social system can work if applied to either fictional civilizations but still human or alien civilizations but still fictional, of course. Today we are going to see if can communism work in the sense that it is applicable to Klingons from the Star Trek franchise. And we're choosing, of course, the normal timeline, not the one from the movies with Chris Pine. So, we already know since the first video on the cues what communism is or is supposed to be at the very least. Now we need to define who are the Klingons and what do they do. So, Klingons are the most iconic, or perhaps one of the most iconic, enduring, and flesh out alien species. After the events of Next Generation and Deep Space Nine, they stopped being the one of the primary antagonists and they became known as deeply spiritual, intensely passionate warrior and a race whose entire society revolves around the concepts of honor, duty, and combat. Usually they are distinct for their fierce demeanor, long hair, and prominent forehead ridges. But now let's came to the political structure of the Klingon Empire. The official name of their interstellar government is the Klingon Empire or the Empire of Konos, which is the planet capital of the empire. Politically, it functioned as a feudal military dictatorship, heavily influenced by an aristocratic oligarchy, rather than a centralized democracy like the United Federation of Planets. The Klingon Empire is governed by a delicate balance of power between powerful noble families and a central ruler. One of these, let's call them organs of moderation, is the Great House, called just Tuk. The foundation of the empire rests on feudal nobility. Klingon society is divided into great houses, which are powerful elite family lineages, like the House of Mog, the House of Martok. Each house controls its own lands, financial resources, and crucially, its own private military fleets. The political influence of a house depends heavily on its economic strength, military might, and personal honor of its leader. Then there is the Klingonite Council, the supreme legislative and executive body of the empire, which is the High Council again, located in the first city of their home world of Konos, pronounced also Kronos. The council is composed of the leaders of the most powerful great houses. It handles imperial policy, declares war, and arbitrates disputes between competing houses. Because council members command their own private fleets, as stated before, the High Council is often a hotbed of political scheming, shifting alliances, and fragile truces. Then there is the Chancellor, which holds immense power and effectively acts like an autocrat. However, their authority is only as strong as the ability to maintain the loyalty of the great houses. If a chancellor is perceived as weak or dishonorable, they face assassination, civil war, or a legal challenge to the death. And finally, there is the emperor. Historically, the empire was founded by Carlos the Unforgettable, the ultimate warrior prophet who united the Klingon people. For centuries, the throne sat empty, and the Chancellor ruled alone. In the 24th century, which is where the Next Generation series takes place, a clone of Kales was created. He was integrated into the government as the constitutional emperor. However, this position is purely ceremonial and religious. The emperor, as a matter of fact, serves as a moral figurehead to unite the people, while instead the chancellor retains actual political and military control. But now that we have, with success, declared what all of this is about, which basically means who the Klingons really are, let's see how communism can be applied to them. Klingon revolutionary movement overthrew the feudal elite to establish a Klingon socialist union. Their warrior culture would fundamentally warp human Marxist-Leninist concepts into something uniquely violent, honorable, and quite frankly terrifying. First of all, there will be the first and only great purge of the houses. Because in Klingon Communist Revolution, the enemy will be the Great Houses, which again is the Tuk. The revolutionary Klingons will view the hereditary nobility as parasites who hoard weapons, ships, and glory, while the lower castes, laborers, farmers, and common soldiers, bleed for them. The fate of aristocracy will be sealed in death. Instead of stripping them of titles via legal discommendation, the revolution would execute the leaders of the great houses for crimes against the working warriors. There will also be a redefining of the meaning of honor for Klingon people. Klingon culture is entirely driven by personal and family honor. For communism to survive on Konos, the definition of honor will have to be radically collectivized. There will be feudal honor versus socialist honor. Traditional Klingon honor is individualistic and tied to bloodlines. Communism, however, seeking personal glory or boosting your family's name will be branded as decadent bourgeoisie egoism. The ultimate honor will be redefined as selfless service to the state and the collective. Dying in battle wouldn't be about getting your family into Stovokor, which is Klingon Haven basically. It will be about advancing the glorious march of the workers. And finally, the structure of the Red Empire. There will be the Supreme Soviet of Konos. That council will be replaced by a central committee. Instead of powerful lords commanding their private fleets, every bird of prey and battlecruiser will be fully nationalized and owned by the state. The political commissar, which is Vach, will be as follows. Every Klingon warship will feature a dual command structure. You would have the traditional captain, Hod, executing military tactics, paired with a political commissar ensuring the crew's ideological loyalty to the party. And finally, the Klingon right of challenging a superior officer to mortal combat would likely survive, but with a communist twist. A subordinate wouldn't challenge a captain because they are personally weak, but because their tactical failures are sabotaging the collective revolution. In the end, things won't be too far bad for the Klingons. This could actually mean entering for them into a new golden age. But as always, this has been Can Communists Work in Blank? I'm Jean. I invite you all to comment and subscribe, and see you all in the next video.